بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. لله تبارك وتعالى. I praise Allah. I thank Allah. I ask Allah to raise the status of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all those who follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. I want to briefly, before we start reading in our book, الرسالة النافية وحجة الخاطئة by Sheikh Salih al-Farfur, rahimahullah. I want to remind us of something, that our mission with these classes, Scattered Thoughts, Post-Fajr Reflections, Ihya, is to be a means to establish the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in the hearts of the people. That's our objective. And the classes we teach, the talks we give, all that programs are designed for that. It is our firm conviction that the proper way to follow Islam is by following the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. That's a firm, unshakable conviction. No doubt in it, right? And when we say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, please let it be extremely clear when we say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, what we intend, not what others may intend. What we intend on these platforms are Al-Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya in Aqidah. Following one of the four recognized schools, meaning the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali school in fiqh, not in Aqidah, in fiqh. I'm going to repeat, in fiqh, not in Aqidah. One more time. In fiqh, we follow the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali schools, not in Aqidah. We are Ash'ari or Maturidi. Some of you are being hoodwinked and you don't know it. I see where there is this Rodney King attitude. And I think wanting to get along with everybody is a noble thing. I think that's a noble thing, but it's not reality. It's noble in the sense that you have a good heart. You want us all to just sing songs and hold hands, and that's a great feeling. but it's not real, right? It's not real, even though it's something that people want. We would love a society where there are no criminals. That would be nice, but that's not real. There are criminals, and they're probably going to be criminals all the time, right? So there are religious criminals, criminals in the creed, criminals in methodology that oppose Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. That exists, whether I like it or not. That's real. And with that being said, you have to become firm in this knowledge. This is Sunni Islam in its most traditional, strictest sense. So those four madhabs. So don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. We're following the Hanbali Aqidah. That is not a reliable methodology, period. Even if some of it is true, it's not a well laid out methodology. That's why the majority of Sunni Muslims haven't followed it. I'm going to repeat. It's not a well laid out methodology like the Ash'ari and Maturidi schools. It's not the same. It's been through a lot of textual and scholarly corruption. It's not the same. That's why the scholars mention the noble of the Hanabila, Fudala'ul Hanabila. They said that for a reason. They didn't just say Al-Hanabila. They never said that. They said Fudala'ul Hanabila. That means something. They're indicating something. They just said Shafi'i, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, wa Fudala'ul Hanabila. That means something. It's telling you something. That means there are many bad things attributed to that methodology. Right? And there's not a system of scholarly generation, unbroken chains of scholars who, in that creed, who all had the same creed. It doesn't exist because of the perversion within the school. It doesn't exist. That's why you find in their books the praising of Ibn Taymiyyah, who had a horrible aqidah. So even if some of the Hanabila say we don't follow Ibn Taymiyyah, what about the other ones and why he's all mentioned all in your books? So those who are saying Athari, Hanbali, this is a real thing. And I'm telling you this so it doesn't get mixed up. I don't want it to be mixed up with in Ahl Sunnah and you bring in Ahl Sunnah that which is really not Ahl Sunnah in the name of, we got some good people over there. Yeah, you got some bad people over there too, real bad, with real corrupt creed, right? And I'm speaking to us. I'm not speaking to no one else. I'm speaking to us because many of us, we be all over the place. We be in these groups and we all over the place. And that's fine for you, but don't bring that here. So I have to be explicit because I'm aware of people perverting. We have a lot of challenges that we gotta work our way through, right? And we must remain steadfast in our creed, especially in the issue of al-Aqidah. Is this point clear? Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, they are the Ash'aris and Maturidis. That's what our author mentioned on page 1. Right there. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. Do you see anything else? No. He didn't mention that. He mentioned Ahl Sunnah are the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. Al-Azhar, when they mention Ahl Sunnah, they say Al-Asha'ira wal-Maturidiyya. So let's put it this way. And there are some virtuous, some noble people among the Hanbali who have the creed the same as the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. That is Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. I want to know, is this clear to everyone? Does everyone get what I'm saying? Allah. What I'm noticing about this platform, may Allah reward y'all. We have established something, especially in the Black community, that hasn't existed for a long time. A long time. That is consistent structure and teaching and education and unity and family. We've done that. Even if it's on a small scale, but for us, our small scale is a lot among our people. So many people look at what we're doing as an opportunity to come in and do what they want to do, not what we're doing. But they're in it as if they're with what we're doing to bring people to what they're doing. Please, I can't be any more explicit. Be careful of that. It will ruin what we're doing. It will ruin what we're doing. So be careful with that. Not everyone wants the same thing. And when we don't learn well, we won't even notice it's happening. You won't notice it's happening, but I see it. And I see some of our people falling into it. So I warn you, be careful. And I don't mind myself. I don't mind people doing whatever they do. Even if I disagree, do your thing. But I do mind when you try to bring your thing into what we're doing. I mind that. Go do your thing. Do your thing over there, have your business, do what you do. Go for it. Right? But don't integrate with us and you know you're doing something else. Don't do it. And for us, Don't allow no one to do that. Everyone doesn't know the 3453 code yet. I can and I should and I will. But I have to remind you of these things for your own safety. Because some of you are just learning, right? Some of you are just learning, right? So you might not realize, you may not realize what's happening. You see it, but you don't realize what's happening. You see what you know what you see, but you can't articulate it. You can't identify it, right? So I'm just clarifying it for you, right? Because it's important, if you want to learn, that someone helps show you the pitfalls of learning. So just stick there. Follow the way of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, and you must learn it. The other thing, before I close out, we got to get more serious, or we have to become more serious in mastering what we're learning. We got to go beyond surface understanding of facts. We must help each other firmly understand what we're learning. Right? In this way, right? In this way, you'll be able to become. Oh, I forgot to send the link. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Give me 1 second, please. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you because, you know, I don't listen to a lot of people. I'm really focused on what we're doing. But you know how sometimes you scroll down this thing, and as you're scrolling, all kinds of stuff come up. So sometimes you see stuff, and when you see it, you're like, oh, I see where this is going, right? And you see people. I see our people. So my job is to inform you, right? I see sometimes people fall into traps they don't realize they're falling in. And liking things that they don't realize what they're really liking. You think you're liking one thing, But what you really liking is other than what you think. Mm. Okay, with that said, so let me just, my whole point there, our methodology is the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. When we say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, in Aqidah, in belief, in the creed, we follow the school of the Ash'ari school or the Maturidi school. These are the two schools that we rely upon in explaining the Islamic belief. In terms of the rules of the religion, al-fiqh, the practical rules of the religion, we follow one of the four schools, the Hanafi school, Maliki school, Shafi'i school, and Hanbali school. And when I say following one of those four schools, we really, really, really learn the books and the scholars of those schools, the relied upon books in the school and the relied upon scholars in the school. Not just any old books and any old scholars, people doing their own things. Look, with a chain of narration, trustworthy, following those schools. And we have a firm conviction in the path of a tasawwuf, which I never advise anyone to go into details until they learn the proper belief and the practical rules of the religion. And they're firm in that, then they should pursue the path of Sufism. However, uh, however, you have a firm conviction that tasawwuf is true, its path is correct, but it needs to be learned correctly. So it's not a denial of tasawwuf when I say to you, don't just go join any group. Because when you learn, you'll start identifying stuff yourself. The more you learn and you learn firm, some of these things are easy for you to see, right? So it's just, at least if you stick with the classes, you'll learn. I'm gonna take you through book, through book, through book. If anyone been on this platform for the last 2 years, year and a half, you've learned books, books, scholars, books, books. That's how we teach. You'll get it. You just have to study and review like our sisters are doing. May Allah reward them. I know, and brothers, we have to step it up. We need a review group. Like really, I mean, you started one, but fumbled on the 10-yard line. I don't know what y'all was doing. But we need to revisit that. The sisters I know are consistent. They study, they review together, they check one another. I know they're doing that regularly. And they have several groups doing that, studying what we're learning here. The brothers need to do the same thing. Tell you. Okay. You ready, reader? Inshallah, what page we reached? Reader, are you there?
We're on page 5.
Okay. Bismillah. Al-Fatiha to the soul of Sayyidina Muhammad Salih Al-Farfur Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. Go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. The author, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, said, both rational and scriptural arguments from the theological discussions have dealt with negating the ascription of spatiality and origination to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we shall not persist in refuting these heterodoxies here.
Here, so the author mentions two concepts that are false beliefs, and they're from the Qaramiyya, that one is at-tahayyuz and the other one is al-huduth. At-tahayyuz means attributing to Allah a location or being confined in a place or a direction. This is intellectually and textually negated in Islam. And the other, al-huduth, saying that Allah is a created event. Anything that was non-existing and then became existing is considered hadith, a created event. And it is attributed with being a creation. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala negates any attributes of createdness or being a creation from his exalted self. So these were points of conviction of Al-Qaramiyya, Al-Mujassima, and Al-Mushabbiha in our time have those same beliefs. Okay. So listen. We have, I mentioned yesterday, Al-Mujassima and Al-Mushabbiha. Put these words in your vocabulary. Al-Mujassima and Al-Mushabbiha. Al-Mujassima are those who attribute to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who attribute Allah with being a body or having attributes of bodies. So that is, they saying that Allah is a body, right? Or he has attributes of bodies. They are called al-mujassima. Al-mushabbiha are similar to al-mujassima insofar as they attribute to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala attributes that resemble attributes of created things. This is a fine line here, because those names, Al-Mujassima and Mushabbiha, go back to the 3rd and 4th Islamic century, right? Around the time of Imam al-Ash'ari and before that, right? So between the time of Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam al-Maturidi and Imam al-Ash'ari, Imam al-Tahawi, in that era, in between those times, between the 2nd and 4th century, you had al-Mushabbiha and al-Mujassima as a name, as a group. Today, you have the ideas of al-Mujassima and al-Mushabbiha without the name. So all of these groups that the author mentioned, and he mentioned 4 of them, al-Mu'tazila, al-Qadariyya, al-Jabriyya, al-Karamiyya, and he also mentioned al-Jahmiyya. They were in the past. However, some of their ideas exist in the present, right? So al-Mushabbiya, al-Mujassima, that were then, the ideas that they conveyed and they believed in have been rehashed, reformulated today in the modern Wahhabi Salafi movement, right? Right? So listen to what I'm saying. So those ideologies, those convictions, those beliefs that existed in the past in the form of al-Karamiyya, al-Mujassima, al-Mushabbiha, have been reintroduced to our generation by the Wahhabi and Salafi movements, Wahhabi/Salafi. So we know them as Wahhabiyya. They call themselves Salafiyya. Al Hadith, Athari, Hanabila. All of those names all mean one thing. Those are the ideas that we oppose as Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Is that clear? If anyone has a question, what I just said, that is not fully clear, please ask it. Ask it. It's clear for everyone. Don't say it isn't clear and you don't really fully understand. It's fine. Ask the question. So their beliefs entail attributing Allah to a place or a location or direction which is negated. So those modern day Mujassima and Mushabbiha what do you do when you have associates that follow that type of creed? My suggestion is to understand that people are different types. This is very important. Most people in our country, by default, fall into those beliefs without even knowing it. So most of us haven't studied well. We just believe, which is fine, long as you believe in, so long as you believe in the right thing. But most of us have never really studied. And I'm not talking about be a scholar. I'm talking about examine things, learn things, and then decide, what's correct and what's not correct. Most of us, we believe what was given to us. We didn't do thorough search or anything, and that's what everybody was doing, and that's what we accepted. That's the average person, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then, when that goes south, and you're in the wrong creed, then you have the responsibility to learn. So, I would understand that most people are like us. I just want to be Muslim. I didn't know all this stuff. So I'm trying to learn. And This is what they told me was Islam. I didn't study or nothing. I go to the masjid. That's what they're doing. All the famous people. That's what they're doing. That's what I'm doing. So when you're dealing with a person like that, even if they're stating things, they may not understand what they're stating. Period. They don't really know. We call that default Wahhabi. What do we mean by that? That means the person that's when you get your phone, it has, or your computer, it has an automatic setting that was factory established. Now you go in and you customize it if it doesn't fit what is correct. But whoever makes it, they got a default setting, right? The default setting, unfortunately, especially in the Black community, is the Wahhabi doctrine. That's the default setting. Now we got to work to change that to where the default setting is Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. But that's a 50-year work, honestly. If we work hard every day, it would take us 50 years to reverse that trend. Why? Because they already probably got 100 years ahead of us, right? And then you have among Sunni people who don't talk. I want to say they're afraid to talk. They don't talk. I don't know why they don't talk. They have their own reasons. Some are afraid. Some's hoping to get some money. Some don't know. They got various reasons. Some don't want to get into conflict. Multiple reasons why people don't speak. Whatever those reasons are, at the end of the day, people are not speaking up enough, right? So since you don't have enough people speaking up, and those other groups are out there, they're spreading their stuff, they're on the internet, they're funded by Saudi Arabia, they're going. So listen, check it out. Let me explain this to you. I know I'm going way off, but I think it's important, right? Say, for instance, the Saudis, they support people who spread their doctrine. I'm going to give you some historical facts, modern history, right? Please listen to this. The Wahhabi Salafi doctrine is a Saudi Arabian product. Y'all do realize that, right? The so-called Salafi, which we call Wahhabi creed doctrine, is a Saudi Arabia product. Y'all do realize that, right? Let's follow each other. Do y'all realize that? So that's their product. Before them, that wasn't accepted nowhere in the world. So before the establishment of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and Muhammad ibn Saud, that relationship between the Saudi family and Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, there was no such thing as Wahhabi Salafi doctrine as we have it today, right? There was no such thing. In the whole Islamic world, no one followed that, nowhere. It's a new expression of religion under the name of Islam. No one knew nothing about it. Some of the ideas were known in the past. Some of the known ideas that they carry were known from figures in the past and were rejected in the past. They brought those ideas together and reintroduced them under a new name, right? So they brought ideas from the past that were known and were rejected in the past, and they put those ideas together and gave that way. This is a historical fact. It's not something that can be challenged, right? Now, you can say if it was right for them to do it or wrong for them to do it. That's one discussion. But the fact that they did it is not a discussion. The fact that no one followed that before them is not a discussion, except for an insane person who doesn't know history. Since the advent of that movement, those ideas spread, especially in the West, all around the world, but especially in the West. Because there was always a political association with the West and Saudi Arabia, because it was the West who helped Saudi Arabia become established. So there was always this relationship between them. So therefore, they were able to spread their ideology safely in America because there were no traditional Islamic scholars established in this country, right? So it was the first thing to hit the shores of America in mass spreading of books and teachers and funding masjids. They got billions of dollars. So that's how we got here, right? And everyone was affected by that in some way or another. That's why you feel like you're hearing stuff you never heard before. Why? Because they dominated the airwaves. And traditional Sunni scholars were busy hating the West and not realizing that it was a place that you could do da'wah. Listen to what I just said. The traditional Sunni scholars in other parts of the world were so busy hating the West, America, for instance, they didn't realize that it was fertile ground for da'wah. And those Wahhabi people came to America and spread without anyone to challenge them. Until the point now that became the standard doctrine in America. It's deep. Do y'all understand that? So every group that claimed to be Sunni, in the majority of the group, I won't say every single group, because there's always exceptions. I don't know where they at, but they are exceptions. Struggle. Really, I would like to meet some real Sunni communities in the Black community that are Ahl Sunnah without no extra stuff. I would love to find those places. In the African American community, the Ash'ari and Maturidi and Creed, they really follow one of the four schools in a traditional way, with teachers and scholars and books, and they follow the way of Tasawwuf, and it's a Black community. And that's the standard, and it's established, and the majority of the community is like that. Man, that's hard. That's hard. It's really hard. That shows you how great a job they did in polluting the water. It's like we have a lot of work to do. A lot of work. even the places that I know where you have imams like that, those imams have to deal with the traces of Wahhabism in their communities, and they're not so outright with it. They're not like speak like I speak. They don't speak like that. Because the ones who support them are not there. So they're trying to get them there, but they're not there. It's a task. It's not easy. So even if we start working hard, you're talking 50 years. Just for it to be commonplace to get out. It is a necessity that we have. Now, they exist in the immigrant communities and some white communities where they went and learned, but that stuff's in the suburbs and it has nothing to do with Black people. Maybe a few Blacks will slide in, but it's not for Black people. Right? So you do have communities in America that are Sunni, 100%, but they're not for Black people. Not for African Americans. Not saying you don't have no African Americans in there, but they're just, they're being tolerated. But as for African Americans in their own communities, no. This is the struggle. And that's why I tell you, when I say support this platform, we need it. We're going up against Saudi money. To do the work, we're going against Saudi money. Billions. And they're far ahead of us. They've already taken our community, took Black young kids out of the inner cities, took them to Saudi Arabia, programmed them, indoctrinated them, and sent them back with support, with degrees, with everything into our communities. And they're working, and I don't take their work away from them. They are working. But they're working in a way that is not consistent with Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. No, you can't play the lottery. Do you understand what I'm saying? And some of us don't realize how deep this thing goes. So now they don't even have to do it themselves. They've trained us to do it for them. So in major cities where there's high concentrations of Black Muslims, there are Saudi Arabian trained teachers who got a stamp of approval from those people. And they're leaders in the African American masjids in the inner cities where people didn't learn. And they're spreading Wahhabi doctrine with a Black face. It's work. And some of them are funded. And they're buying up people left and right. And we got a new gym, we got a new school, we got a new this, and you got kufr as a belief practice going in your community. Excuse me, that's Imam Amin coming out. We got a new school, we got a new gym, and you got kufr being spread in the name of that school and gym. Ouch. You heard what I said? We're looking at the gym and the new school and the new masjid, and we got some money to pay the bills now, and we're forgetting all about. At the same time, they're teaching things that's not permissible to talk about in Islam, not permissible to believe at the same time. So you're getting the money, yes, and you're getting this new stuff, yes, but at the same time, you're getting this other stuff that's not permissible. Do you follow my point? So yes, you're getting this, and that's nice. We all together, yeah, we got some bread, we having a big eat in the park, we're doing it. That's nice. But what is being said, that's not nice. You see my point? So are we just accepting things from the dunya, which is nice, and we lose our religion in the process? We have a form with no real reality. And then when you got all this material, you start justifying taking corrupt creed and corrupt practice. Let me share something that happened to me in Lebanon one time. I never forget this. So I went to I was with one of the muftis in Lebanon. And Al-Azhar in Lebanon is Sunni. But the Wahhabiyya gave them a lot of money to build different stuff. So I went in their library looking for some Sunni books. I didn't find the Sunni books in Creed, but I found all the books of Ibn Taymiyyah. And I was puzzled. I said, how am I in Azhar? I can't find Sunni books, but I can find a bunch of Ibn Taymiyyah books. What's going on here? And I remember I was getting ready to ask the Mufti. I was puzzled. And my teacher said, don't say anything. I'll talk to you when we get outside. Because he know my nature, right? He said, I'll talk to you when we get outside. And when we got outside, he said something that I will never forget in my life. He said, feed the stomach and the eyes will remain silent. He said, feed the stomach and the eyes will remain silent. He said, you see all these beautiful buildings? You see that radio station? That money came from the Saudis. But with that money came those books. And people sold out. He pointed to some beautiful, nice buildings, nice. He said, you see that? They had a girls' school and they paid them. But with that money came this doctrine too. And out go the other stuff. The Ahl Sunnah, gone. So that's the same thing. That same game is being played in the Black community. We poor. We don't support our own endeavors. We stingy. We don't believe in ourselves. So send a Black guy, give him some cheese, give him some money, let him spend on these Black folks and send our doctrine in there. And it works. And they will accept it. send a black guy in, give him some money, let him go to those poor folks, spread their money, and spread the doctrine with the money. You see my point? They do it in Africa all the time. Ask Imam Naim. They did it in Africa, abundant. Africa was traditionally Maliki, Ashari, Sufi. They came to Africa, start giving scholarships to University of Medina, build big old masjids, and now Africa's full of Wahhabis in the name of Sunni. Full of Wahhabis. This is historical facts. I'm not. Imam Naim, are you there? Imam Genius, or you in sleeping? He goes to Africa all the time. Ask him. Am I right or wrong, Imam Naim? There go Imam Naim right there. It's abundant. So we have a job to do. And that's all in our communities. All over the country. And if we ain't really serious about our deen in terms of the real aspect of our deen, not the outward thing, the real aspect of our deen is the principles of our religion. If that's compromised or negotiable, we don't have a deen. We don't. We have a form, but it's not really religion. If our core tenets of faith are negotiable or not well understood, then you really don't have nothing to stand on. Right? You don't. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know your belief. You as a so-called Muslim don't even know what you believe. And you want to say the Christians are misguided or the Jews. You don't even know what you believe. You don't know if Allah is in a location sitting on a throne or he exists without a place. You're not sure. You're guessing. Because if you were sure, then you wouldn't be defending a Wahhabi creed. You wouldn't. If you knew your religion, you wouldn't be guessing. They're opposites. They can't fit in the same place. They're two opposite extremes. So like when I listen to those Wahhabi people and they say the Asharis are deniers of Allah's attributes, I don't get mad at that. I understand we have a different belief. We don't believe the same thing. I understand that. Our belief and the belief of the Wahhabi Salafiyya is no different from our belief than the Christians and the Jews. It's no difference. The only difference is that they say they're Muslim and they put Islamic terms on the Christian and Jewish belief that they have. But as far as the core of our belief, we don't believe that stuff. Right? Muslims don't believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in a location. Muslims don't believe that Allah moves from location to location. Muslims don't believe that. Are there some people who say I'm a Muslim and have that conviction? Yes. There are some people. There are many people like that. But that's not the belief of Islam. That's not a valid belief that you can accept. And here's the thing about this, and I'm going to stop. I went way overboard, but it's important. I'm going to make an analogy, and it may get me in trouble, but I don't mind getting in trouble. Who cares? Sometimes getting in trouble is worth saving my people. Imam Naeem, you crazy. Imam Naeem is the Imam genius, but he is funny. Oh, I gotta ask permission to share your joke. That was hilarious. Oh man. All right, let me get myself together. Um, you know, with the alphabet movement, and y'all know what I mean in this country, the alphabet movement, right? They were first fighting for their right to exist, right? I can be the way I am, and no one should discriminate against me. Then it moved to the point that now they infringe on your own convictions, even your religious convictions, to the point that they say, we are who we are, and it's not allowed for you to believe that it's not right for us to be the way we are. You follow my point? First, they start out just wanting their rights. Then they took it to the level where you must agree with them. Even if your religion says it's wrong, they're making it so that you can't express that. Right? Do y'all notice that? Do you notice that's happening? You can't even express your disagreement with it without fear of consequence in your job, in your living, or whatever. Just to express the fact that I don't agree with that. You got to keep that to yourself. But they don't have to keep what they have to say. They can say whatever they want. They don't have to be quiet, but you better be quiet. Do you understand my point? So that's how it becomes. I'm gonna make an analogy between that. Al-Wahhabiyya, at the beginning of their thing, they were trying to spread their doctrine. Once they got enough power, they made it such that to speak against their doctrine is wrong. So we live in a time now where to disagree with the Wahhabiyya, you're wrong. To just disagree with them. They've made it to where their innovation is Islam. Their innovation, they've got to the point where that's Islam. It's not. It's an innovation in creed and in practice. It's a major innovation. Some of those innovations reach the level of kufr. But today, you got people all around the world that want us to accept that stuff as Islam. Like it's acceptable. This is okay. It's not okay. It's not permissible to believe that stuff. And I remember telling one of my teachers this, I'm sorry, excuse me, I have to express this stuff. If it's okay, why are you telling me it's not permissible to believe? That doesn't make sense. If you're telling me it's not permissible to believe, then it's not okay. If you're telling me that it's wrong, but it's permissible to do it, that's a contradiction. If you're saying we're going to give them excuse and say that a person is still a Muslim, but it's wrong to believe that, that means you don't tell them to remain like that. They have to change. They are mistaken. They cannot be mistaken. They have to correct their error. And you're saying that mistake didn't make them a non-Muslim. Okay, that's fine if you want to believe that. But nevertheless, they can't stay in that mistake. They have to correct it, and you have to warn against that mistake. Even if that mistake itself doesn't make them non-Muslim, that mistake is still a mistake that's not permissible to believe, and you can't settle for it. Do y'all understand my point? Because if you make the mistake acceptable, then it becomes the religion. And then you have Muslims who don't know what they believe. And no Muslim would accept that, not even those who are like that. They don't accept such things. Even the Wahhabis don't accept that ideology, that approach, that Rodney King idea. They don't accept it. That's why they say the Ash'aris are deniers of Allah's attributes, misguided, idol worshippers, Sufis are. That's why they say that, because they don't accept such a claim. They don't. They don't accept. And neither do Sunnis accept. And that's life. We don't accept. We don't accept certain things that to be existing, even though people do it. We don't accept. We live in a country that's full of white supremacists. We don't accept that. It exists. We don't say it's okay to be a white supremacist. Do what you do. We don't say that. No, that's wrong. Even though that's your ideology, that's wrong. That's the nature of truth and falsehood. And what Shaitan wants, that we can't distinguish between right and wrong or truth and falsehood. It's all one big pot. That's what Shaitan wants from human beings. And that's the religion of the Dajjal. That's the religion of the Antichrist. No God at all. No rules at all. Just believe whatever you want. Everyone does whatever they want. This is not acceptable. Not as a Muslim, we don't accept. And we have to forbid that at any level that is possible. We forbid it at the level of our hands if we are leaders and rulers in charge, government, by our tongues if we're not at that level, and if we're totally incapable, in our hearts we don't accept. But we have to forbid munkar, bad deeds. Okay. Let's continue. Inshallah, we'll hit Ihya tomorrow. I'm sorry for taking up too much time. Go ahead.
Introduction to the Science of Divine Unity, Tawheed. Definition of the science of divine unity. It is, excuse me.
I have tea and lemon today. Turmeric tea with ginger. It's good.
It is the science that facilitates the understanding of how the one worthy of devotion is singled out for worship in respect to his entity, attributes, and acts. In other words, understanding that Allah Ta'ala Most High is one in his entity, attributes, and acts.
Entity, meaning the self of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now,
Its subject matter. It is the
meaning
entity.
the knowledge of Tawheed, which is Aqidah, Usul al-Din, Ilm al-Kalam.
It is the entity of Allah Ta'ala Most High in terms of what is necessary in respect to Him, what is possible in respect to Him, and what is impossible in respect to Him.
Meaning, when you talk about Tawheed, the subject is Dhatullah Ta'ala, the self of Allah Ta'ala. Meaning, what do we want to know about the self of Allah? We don't know the reality of Allah. We know what is obligatory to attribute to Allah among the attributes, what is permissible to attribute to Allah among the attributes, and what is impossible to attribute to Allah among the attributes. That's our knowledge of Allah.
And furthermore, the belief in those revelatory matters about which the Messenger of Allah Ta'ala sallallahu alaihi wasallam conveyed, namely the resurrection, assembling, reckoning, paradise, hellfire, reward, and punishment.
So here, you're going to have a portion of Ilm Tawheed that deals with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala and deals with the prophets. And then you have as-sam'iyat, those things which are transmitted from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the hereafter, about the day of judgment, about paradise and hellfire. Now,
the term religion, deen, also termed shar, sacred law, is what Allah Ta'ala Most High laid down for those who possess sound intellects, which induces them through their choice to that which is better for them in this life of theirs and in the hereafter. A morally responsible person in the sacred law is anyone who is pubescent and sane, be they male or female. The prerequisite for moral responsibility is that one possesses sound faculties and that the invitation to Islam has reached one, whether one is a human being or a jinn. Hence, a child or insane person is not legally responsible. Its legal ruling. It is personally incumbent upon every morally responsible person to learn it, even in broad and general terms, so that his belief is safe against deviation and misguidance.
So here, the judgment of learning the science of Tawheed is that it's a personal obligation, fardu ayn ala kulli mukallaf, on every morally responsible individual, even in a brief way. Why? So you can protect your belief, your creed, from deviance and misguidance. So you have to learn the science so you don't fall into a bad creed, right? So what is the important, how important it is when you live in a place that's full of bad creeds, even bad creeds in the name of Islam. Let's look at us in the West, in America, where most of us are, and it's around the world, but let's look at America. American is a Christian, semi/Judaic society, right? So the very foundation of the creed in the majority of America is kufr. So kufr, the creed of kufr, is in all of our parts of society. So as Muslims, just in this society, we need to learn our creed so we're not affected by kufr from the society that we live in. Our music promotes kufr. Our cinema promotes kufr. Our social media promotes kufr. Our institutions promote kufr. Our schools, our government agencies, all that stuff is built on kufr. From the creedal side. So if you don't know your creed, you're going to fall into kufr because of the system. Not even someone trying to push kufr on you. The system is built upon kufr. So you have to learn. So you send your kids to school, they're Muslim. But if they're going to public school, they're going to be exposed to kufr. from this society. If they don't know their creed, they may fall into kufr. Right? It's just real. That's from the outside. And now you can send your kids to a so-called Islamic school and they're exposed to kufr in the name of Islam. That's scary, right? You send them to an Islamic school, quote unquote, and they're learning things in the school that is kufr. So if you don't know your creed, even sending them to the so-called Islamic school, they may learn things that are not permissible to believe. So it becomes obligatory what? To teach them the religion. Right? Someone sent me a book from an Islamic school, so-called Islamic school. And in the book, they were teaching the children that Allah is in heaven upon his throne. That's not permissible to believe. That's not Islam. That's not our belief. Our belief is that Allah exists without a place. But that's what they're teaching the kids. So the kid comes home and he asks him, where is Allah? He said, Allah is in heaven. A'udhu billah. It's not our belief. What are you talking about? You learned that in the school. You learned that in the school. So you're building a school in the heart of the Black community, but what's going to be taught in that school is bad belief. Is that really a victory? And I'm not saying that it's not better than the public school, because it very well be, but it's still got things that can't be there. Right? So we still have the work to do. Let's stop there. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Does anyone have any questions? Please shoot, feel free. I know I was really in today, but I think these things are very important. And there are not enough of us speaking about it. I'm talking about us, African Americans. We need to speak up. We need to learn, and we need to give da'wah, and we need to teach. There are not enough of us. There are a lot of people that have this doctrine, but they're not interested in us. This is a reality. I hate to say it, but it's true. There are, in this country, a lot of people who know what I'm talking about, but they're not concerned about the Black community. So it's not going to reach you. They know it in the suburbs. They have it, and they got their little, they're doing their stuff, but it's not for you. That's real, like it or not. I hate that it's like that, but it is like that. What can we do? It is real. It's real. And we have to do our work. We'll do, Imari. Got you covered, sis. What can I do? Except remind and educate and teach and give all of our energy to this work. What else can you do? No questions. We good? Everything's clear? Nothing's ambiguous? Do not despair. We still got work to do, right? We just continue to work. We do what we can. But I highly suggest get on the field, right? Get in the games. Don't just be on the sidelines with pom-poms. Don't do that. We need you in the game. We need you on the field. We need all hands on deck, right? So you must learn because they're learning the wrong stuff very well. And if you don't learn the right stuff very well, the wrong stuff will overpower you. Because not because it's right, because you didn't learn well, right? You must learn well. And the more you learn well, the more the message will get out, right? So do me a favor. Yeah, unfortunately, the books are all sold out. And there is nowhere in the country that I know where they're at. So I'm trying to see if we can get another order from outside the country. But they went, everything we had gone. So I want, as a start, could everyone put this on their page today? Simple. It's just a post. If all of us did that, just put that one little, that's it. Put a post and put up. Don't even make another comment. Just Allah exists without a place. Boom. And put it up there. Right? If we all did that with the good intention of spreading the correct belief about Allah, tabaraka wa ta'ala, that would be a blessing. That would be a help. And I have this project. I want to pay teachers. Right? I want to pay. No, you put that on your own page. You can put it here. I need to hire more teachers. I do. So I need your help to pay for that. I'm not that rich. I can't do it all by myself. I do what I can. Yeah, teachers want to get paid. Teachers got to eat too, don't they? Yeah, teachers have to get paid. How they're going to do it? Even if they give you a discount, they got to eat. If you're serious, you're going to have to pay them. Let me ask a question to you. Right? Think about it. So we do need your support to continue this work. Right? In my city, Atlantic City, the teachers, they get paid $75,000 and above, up to six figures, depending how long they've been teaching, right? Some of them are teaching kufr. They're dedicated to that, right? What about the people who's teaching things that are going to save you hereafter? You don't think they deserve to have a living? The government pays them. If we were in an Islamic country, the government would pay the teachers. That's what they do. The government pays the imams, they pay that, the government, the Islamic government. We don't live in an Islamic country. So in the Kufr country, the government pays people to teach Kufr. They pay them. Right? So for us, that's why we have nonprofit. That's the government's way of saying, we're not going to pay you to teach your stuff, but you can raise money to pay yourselves to teach yourself. right? United Way, Red Cross, all of them. Do you know they got staff? All charitable organizations that are successful, they have a paid staff to do the work. You got to do the work. The Saudis are giving money to people to go in our communities and teach Wahhabi doctrine. How I'm going to compete? How I'm going to compete? You telling me that go teach the doctrine, but this guy is being funded by Saudi Arabia and people who are funded or people who are in that field who support, who give hundreds of thousands of dollars so he can go around and buy masjids. I can't do that. I'm not supported by no government with a doctrine. I'm just giving you the example. So I'm going up against this army with a pistol. And their soldiers are being compensated. Our soldiers are asked to starve. It doesn't work. Not if we're serious. Now, if we're just joking, then we're not serious about it. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. But if you're serious, nah, this stuff costs money. If you're serious. What would it look like if I could pay somebody who was knowledgeable, who was educated, who learned to do what I do all afternoon, then another one at night? What would that look like? What would that look like? Okay, I'm every morning. I got the airwaves. Every morning, between 6:30 and 8 o'clock, Imam Amin, you can expect him to be here. We're going to learn this. We're going to learn that. We're going to get some stuff. Okay. Now, what if we can have that at noontime, after work time, and at nighttime? The same thing going on. Different subjects, different teachers, different books. What would that look like? Do you understand my point? What if it's like that? Now we're talking about making real ground. Because some of us, and be honest, some of us are all over the place just because we want something to do and there's nothing there. Am I right? Be honest. Tell us the truth. If that was facilitated, we would do that instead of being on some Wahhabi's page because we're bored or we're looking to see if we can learn something else that's not being provided by us. You follow my point? So we need to do the work. And I realize this personally, myself personally, I wish to do it all for free. And I do it. I don't charge nobody to do anything, right? But I'm one person. I can't do that. I still got to do other things. So you only gonna get so much free time out of me. You're getting it. That's about it, right? Can't get no more. I have to do other stuff, right? Other matters. But other people can't even do what I do. They can't. Just like I can't do all those slots, I can't. I got other stuff I have to do. This is the slot I can do. And I can do it regularly because my life facilitates that. But I can't do this at noon. I can't do it. You notice I was trying to do it after Asr time. You know how hard that was for me? I couldn't do it every day because I have to go earn living, take care of my family. I got stuff I got to do. I can't do it. I could do it sometimes, but I wanted to do it consistently, but I can't, right? So understand what I'm talking about here. If we're serious, we're going to need to do that. We need to have people dedicated. That's all you do. Eventually. Because while we're doing this little bit, the Wahhabis are building schools and teaching people, our people. And they're mixing with our children with bad beliefs. And our children don't have enough education to respond because we're not sacrificing to build institutions, to make them sustainable and to make them flourish and to spread. We're not doing enough work from our side. Right? So there is from our side a sacrifice. And I realized, because I'm watching, we're getting creamed in our communities. You know, in Philadelphia specifically, because it's close to me, they're taking masjid after masjid after masjid, and the Sunnis are just talking junk. The Wahhabiyya are taking masjid after masjid after masjid, paying, giving money. They even buying Sunnis now. La ilaha illallah. They're even buying Sunnis now. There are Sunnis taking Wahhabi money to be quiet. Ya Latif. There are Sunnis taking Wahhabi money to be quiet. That's why you got some Sunnis who don't talk about these issues. They don't even want to mention this stuff. They're trying to get some of that bread. And some of them are taking it because we're not doing our part. Right? Yeah. I'm serious. I'm not making this stuff up. You know, they say you can't make this up. Yeah, you can't. It's deep. Yeah, in Philadelphia. Tayyip, let us stop there. May Allah make it easy for all of us. But yeah, do your part. Help me get this job done. Right? As much as you can. It's a realization that we can't get around. Let's get it done. We're going to work. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. But we need your help. Barakallahu bikum. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.